Welcome back, everybody. I am sure you're all wondering what torture test I put my GI-275s through. And I'm sure that many of you have wondered, and either because you're thinking about installing GI-275s in your airplane or have already done so, whether you can actually replace your six-pack. And the question is how they will behave in different failure modes. So, such as, what if you lost panel power and therefore you lost all panel GPS inputs? What if you also lost indicated airspeed or air data? How will the attitude indicator behave? How will the rest of the system work? And although according to Garmin and the STC, they will work just perfectly, I never had an opportunity to actually see how they would behave. And interestingly, the other day I had a flight where I lost Pitot input and therefore no indicated airspeed, and at the same time a fellow pilot came up to fly with me who had just recently installed a pair of GI-275, same configuration as I have, and he wanted to get an idea of what they were like and how they worked well. Well, he did get an interesting dose of how they work and how they behave in different failure modes, because having lost Pitot tube, we decided that it would be a good opportunity to test out different failure modes. To be able to assess this, you have to put them in a torture test, and that's what the torture test is all about. So to do a good torture test on these attitude indicators, especially the solid state gyros, you need to do 2 coordinated standard rate turns and see how the attitude indicator behaves at the end of a second turn. If the math is good in the attitude indicator and the AHRS, then the attitude indicator will be able to stay in the bank and the pitch that's appropriate for the end of that second turn. Imagine yourselves, you've got gyros inside in your inner ear. There's 3 different planes in the semicircular canals, and as you're turning, if you have a good coordinated turn, the gravity vector is perpendicular to the wings, and therefore after a short period of time you think you're actually in a level attitude instead of in a turn. Same thing happens with the solid state gyros. If we open up our eyes, that's our readjustment to where we are. Well, the solid state gyros don't have eyes, but they have other inputs they can depend on to be able to help them tell them where they are, what attitude they're in. And that usually is indicated airspeed, as well as GPS inputs such as ground speed and track, as well as heading. If you remove all these, how will the attitude indicator behave? And that's what I had the opportunity to do in this flight. So join me for this crazy flight. I will show you what my actual configuration is briefly before we go. We see what the flight is like and what the test I did. This is a schematic of my panel with the dual GI-275s, the top unit being a primary ADI, the bottom unit being an MFD standby ADI. The top unit has heading via GMU11, has outside air temperature, GTP 59, then it can calculate to airspeed, and is also connected to the KFC 150 because it's a AHRS plus autopilot unit. And the 530 is connected to the primary ADI, which then sends as well the information via high-speed data bus to this MFD standby ADI. If need be, the bottom VFR GPS may become active and send that data up to the primary ADI. The GTX 345 is connected to the MFD, which in turn sends the information up to the primary ADI via high-speed data bus. So it's pretty complete installation. My iPad has input from the 530 WAS via FlightStream 210 and Bluetooth, and also has Bluetooth from the ADI. And it will display the ADI's attitude indicator and data, GPS data that's coming from the primary attitude indicator, primary ADI. If the ADI fails, then it will receive all that data from the GPS 530. I tested various configurations without the 530, without the primary ADI, and therefore no heading input, just a VFR GPS. Then without the standby ADI, and therefore no VFR GPS to the top unit, it running only on heading. And then I turned both of them off and just ran on the iPad, see how that worked out. So it was a pretty thorough test, and let's go see what it looked like. Here we are climbing up to 5,500 feet, and we see that we have the indicated airspeed red X in both units. And whenever we have a red X, the MFD standby ADI reverts to its standby ADI mode, and you cannot change to any other page. We see that the Garmin Pilot app has both a synthetic vision page and a navigation page, and it gets its information via Bluetooth from the primary ADI as well as a 530 WAS. If any of those fail, then it will back up to its own VFR GPS, which we can use for partial panel flying, as we'll see. 18 inches, or a little bit less. 2,300, being it out. The first test I did was to remove the 530 WAS by pulling its circuit breaker. That took away WAS, GPS, ground speed, and track from both units, from the primary ADI and standby ADI. And therefore, they were depending exclusively on the ground speed and track being provided by the VFR GPS that became active in the standby ADI unit. With the VFR GPS active, you will see that you also have synthetic vision on both units. You'll have the flight path indicator, the little circle, as well as terrain indicated. Okay, turn 530 off. So you can pull the circuit breaker. It's a PFD. No, it's the 530, COM1. COM1. So that should turn off. I'm going to disconnect the autopilot. Disconnect it completely.
You clear right if you want to go right.
Want to go right?
I can see right better. I just can't see left.
Okay. So I'm going to say about, keep my centered. So we got to do 2 turns. Attitude's holding. All right, I've done 1 turn. Coordinated. Okay, 1.5 turns. My own wake, you feel it?
Yep. Yep.
20 degrees, holding steady here.
It's easier to adjust the altitude with a little manual trim than anything else. Man, this thing is superb. Holding nice and steady. Coming up in 2 turns. Yes, sir. Ha! All right, level off.
The second thing I did is to, in addition to having the 530 off, I also turned the primary ADI off, which removed the magnetometer input from the bottom unit. Therefore, there was no heading input to the bottom unit. In this case, it would depend exclusively on its VFR GPS, which became active as soon as the 530 stopped working. The VFR GPS, its ground speed and track. There would be no heading input, and there's no indicated airspeed. So it's only using GPS to stabilize and to assist the attitude indicator gyros. How did that perform? We'll see right now.
PFD off now, so this one should fly on its own.
Okay. So it's going to go to reversionary battery mode.
Right, so go to system, power off. Now this should have a white message saying attitude or something. There we go. There it goes, message. I'm the only one. All right, do a right turn again.
Okay, clear right.
Okie doke. Starting. Now it says track because it lost the heading from, as expected, from the GMU 11.
Yep.
So we're going to go back to track 180. I got to pay attention, just do it on the bottom one here. The attitude indicator is a little bit off.
Sorry, traffic, Cap 826 Skylane 4 North.
Oh, yeah.
1005.
All right, we did 1 turn.
Roger.
Still coordinated. Leveled off my turn a little bit. But it's done fairly well.
Cap 826 is downwind for a full stop on 22 Fernandina.
All right, leveling off.
The next thing I did was to turn the primary ADI back on. And so I was able to observe how it aligns itself with wings level, and also observe that the heading doesn't come on until after the attitude indicator is actually up and running. In the meantime, it will display track. You will also notice that the synthetic vision doesn't come on until it sees both heading and track in both units. The bottom unit initially only had basically what it looks like, ground and sky, but no actual synthetic vision, so no GPS type of input as to what it looks like around it. It needs both heading and track and ground speed to be able to display that.
Okay, so now what we want to do is push that guy back in. Keep wings level.
Left base for 22, full stop, Fernandina.
Almost there. It takes 1 to 2 minutes now. The GMU should come up, so I should get heading back. And I got my heading back. So let me go back to 180.
The next thing I did was to turn off the bottom unit. This removed any GPS input to the top unit, either from the 530 and also from the VFR GPS in the bottom unit, and left the top unit with no speeds whatsoever, no indicated airspeed or ground speeds, no track. The only thing it had available was heading. That's all I had from the GMU 11. Let's see how it did there. This is a key test. Let's see if it does survive or not.
We already turned this guy back on, let it align itself. Now I'm sure we got to turn off the MFD.
Turn off MFD. Yep.
So MFD is this one. Okay, external power lost. Press this. Go to system. See, you had direct?
Yeah.
All right, system, power. Now, we should lose GPS here, which means that my synthetic vision should go away.
Terrain system
There it goes.
not available.
You hear it?
Yep.
Terrain system not available
That's right.
because it has no GPS. I lost my bug for the synthetic vision. So I have no GPS whatsoever now, no input, none from the, or no airspeed, none from, so ground speed is, so nothing from the airspeed indicator, nothing from the 530, nothing from the bottom one. Let's try our turns. Ready?
Ready. To clear right. Go back over, about over the airfield at Fernandina.
All right. 20 degrees, hold 5,500 feet. I have a feeling that pretty soon we're going to have to look out the window, but maybe not. I mean, if this guy can do it without any kind of airspeed, these guys are rocket scientists for sure. As Alexei says, Garmin has rocket scientists working on their AHRS. My iPad has ground speed from itself. $20. Same attitude you had on previous turns on looking outside, right?
Yep.
I got my trims just right, my hands off yoke so I don't mess it up. Stays in the turn. Attitude indicator working fine. Indicator airspeed fail. No other speeds coming in.
One turn down.
After this, we'll check the autopilot, see what it can do.
Trinity Beach traffic, Spartacus 403 Alpha Hotels, departing runway 9er at Delta.
All right, we did one turn
Left turn out.
and a quarter, coming up in a turn and a half here. Impressive. You must be happy with your 275s now.
Yeah.
I didn't expect this to happen. It's been coordinated all the way. As long as I can believe it slips skid, but the butt feels all right.
Yeah.
Coming up on 2 turns.
Maneuvering for a left 45.
Starting to level off here.
Roger.
Well, let me see if the autopilot works.
Trinity Beach
So,
traffic, Spartacus 403 Alpha
good
Hotels,
altitude hold.
over the water off of
Heading
9er,
mode.
northbound.
I'll center the heading
Time ends at 2,500.
and put the
Trinity Beach
autopilot on. Hands off, flight director came up. So it works fine. Now, what happens if I lose the whole panel, including both 275s? I have nothing at all on the panel. I can't fly a partial panel. I can't use an attitude indicator. What's left? The only thing that's left is my iPad. Will I be able to fly on it with its VFR GPS? We'll see that it has a navigation page that is in a split screen, as well as a synthetic vision page that will not display actual synthetic vision, but will give me a partial panel with tapes that give me GPS ground speed, GPS altitude, and track over the ground, and I can even have an HSI with an active waypoint and fly with it. So we'll see how that works. You got to look down at your iPad and just fly with the iPad. It can be done. Let's check it out. Turn the ADI off, right? Or turn it off and keep the autopilot on and see what the autopilot squawks. So we're going to pull PFD. It went away. The autopilot went away. All right, so I'm going to just turn it off. All right. Did you keep it off?
Yep.
So why isn't it coming off? Let's see. System. Power. The only altimeter I have now is my 530. Sorry, my GPS here. If I put up my synthetic vision, do that, easier to see. The next thing I wanted to see is how the Flightstream 210 AHRS worked, and displayed on the iPad and displayed the attitude indicator on it. To do that, I needed to turn the 530 back on. Otherwise, the Flightstream 210 wouldn't have any GPS input, and it actually needs GPS input to be able to display its work for its AHRS to work. So how did it work? And you'll see initially it's aligning itself, so it's definitely inaccurate. Finally, when it aligns itself, it has slight left bank and slight down pitch. I've never been able to change that or zero it or do whatever. I'm not sure why. Either way, once you know that's the error, you can still fly with that attitude indicator like that, slightly off. All right, so we're going to turn this guy back on. So COM 1, that's the next step. So now we're going to see, we got to hook it up again to Bluetooth.
Back to the 210.
Yeah. Okay, it says connected. Perfect. So, okay, it's hooked up because it says, whoa, AHRS is way off for a second because it's coming on.
finally, I turned both units back on and went back to land. In this case, I only had ground speed to guide me by, and that worked out pretty good.
So we're back on. We're going to go land. I'm going to check out the windsock. As I was telling Frank, I prefer to land on 1-3. There's no trees on the approach end. Gives me a little bit better room for landing. Okay, we're on. Let's listen to AWAS. 15 inches. I'm below 120 indicated at 15
1-3 Zulu, weather, wind, 1-9er, 0 at 5,
2-2.
visibility, 1,
2-2?
0,
Yeah.
1, 2,
All right.
1000,
Yep.
I'll go fly over and come up upwind.
2,
Okay.
9er, Celsius,
and see what the windsock's showing.
6, altimeter, 3, 0, 0, 9er, density, altitude, 1, 5, 0, 0.
It's only 30 degrees on 2-2,
Yeah.
60 on the other one. All right, push that in.
Yep.
All right, gear. Gear down.
Down.
Gear down.
You're down.
Fernandina Beach traffic, 2405 Charlie Papa, left crosswind, 22 Fernandina, full stop. Tell me attitude. Wonder why.
Pretty intercom cap 826.
Because I don't have a red X on it. I don't know why not.
Yeah.
No. All right, so flaps are coming up. First set of flaps. Fernandina Beach traffic, Mooney 405 Charlie Papa is left downwind, 22 Fernandina, full stop. Okay, gear down. Mixture's coming rich. Flaps are ready to go full. I do them full flaps on at the numbers, otherwise I can't slow this plane down. All right, full flaps. All right, before I decide to stall here, point it down. Fernandina Beach traffic, 2405 Charlie Papa's turning left base, 22 Fernandina, full stop. Lights, lights. Flaps, gas.
Right, downwind for runway 35.
Fernandina Beach traffic, 2405 Charlie Papa's turning final, 22 Fernandina, full stop. Ground speed 83. If I got a headwind, I'm going a good 85. Gear is down and locked.
Yeah, it looks like you got about 5 on the, according to the windsock, 4 to 5 knots. First notch out. Ooh.
All right. Not bad for no indicated airspeed.
Yeah,
A little
a
long.
little long.
That's all right. Better long than too short.
That's right, always.
All righty. Let's go all the way to the end. Mooney 405 Charlie Papa cleared 04 Fernandina. Well, that was awesome. Yeah.
Well, in conclusion, I'm really happy the way these GI 275s behaved in these different configurations with their torture tests. They behaved much better and performed way better than I ever anticipated. I hope you got something out of this video, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll be putting up videos as I can as things come up. So have a great day. See you next flight.